It's the end of an era. The Dunlop Elite was the longest standing squash racket model, spanning the last 2 decades, and has been used by legends such as Jonathan Power, Gregory Gaultier and Diego Elias. Here you can see quite possibly the most complete collection of Dunlop Elite rackets, with only a couple of special editions missing, like Amish Shibana's signature Ice Elite. The legacy built from the legends using these rackets is almost unmatched. But now it's all over. Dunlop have decided to remove it from their latest range of CX rackets. Today I'll be talking about why I think that's a terrible idea and why I feel that this could have a huge negative impact on Dunlop as they try to fight for relevance against tough competitors such as Technofiber. Now, before we get going, I want to make it clear that none of the criticism I have in this video is of the performance of each racket in the new range, as I haven't had a chance to try them yet. In fact, if anyone from Dunlop's watching this video and wants me to test out the new range to see if it's better than I expect, I'd be happy to do an unbiased review like I did for the FX128 Pro. The link to that video is in the top corner. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. I also want to make it clear that historically I've been a massive Dunlop fan. I was sponsored by them as a junior, and it was a great experience as they were generous with their offering, and it felt amazing to have the official Dunlop hoodie at the time. I've always thought that they've made the best rackets and have had the best overall range over the last 20 years. From the JP Ice Elite that many believe is the best racket of all time, to the Sonic Core range, it has always felt like there's a racket for everyone. That is, until now. Their new range of traditional head-shaped rackets is called the CX range. They've done away with the distinct names and colour schemes that their previous ranges had, and instead opted for something less memorable and outstanding. The Ultimate, once a striking black and yellow, is now red and called the CX132. The Pro GTX or Pro, once a slick blue colour, is now also red and called the CX125. The Evolution is now also red and called the CX120, although I feel like this racket is allowed to be red, as they recently lost their way with the aesthetics of the Evolution and kept changing its colour anyway, so making it red would feel more of a return to the Aerogel 4D model that Nick Matthew became world number 1 with. The Elite no longer exists at all, as I said before, and neither does the Iconic, but that one didn't seem particularly popular anyway, so I understand the decision behind removing that one. You may be wondering, why is this an issue? Well, in my mind, the Elite was the perfect all-rounder in the range. It had incredible power for a traditional head-shaped racket with its less dense stringing pattern and a slight bit more weight, while also having fantastic feel and control that you'd expect with that racket head shape. While having attributes worthy of being used by top professionals, it was also remarkably forgiving and had a large sweet spot so that anybody of any level could get the most out of it. The Ultimate and Pro, on the other hand, were known for being very unforgiving and lacked a lot of power in the wrong hands. For the Ultimate, the dense stringing pattern gave it unbelievable control and feel, but when under pressure, only a top player could get the ball to the back of the court consistently. For the Pro, it's a similar story due to the smaller racket head, meaning it has a smaller sweet spot. I've always found it strange how for the last few years Dunlop have marketed the Ultimate much more heavily than the Elite, when the Elite would appeal to a lot more of the squash audience and therefore would be much more effective to advertise over the Ultimate. Diego Elias is always marketed as using the Ultimate, but in reality he actually plays with the Elite painted in the Ultimate's colours. You can see this from the stringing pattern, as well as the fact that he hits a heavy length that's only really possible with a slight bit more weight in the racket head that the Elite offers over the Ultimate. My point is that by removing the Elite from the range, you're actually alienating a large portion of the Dunlop fans, as now there's no Dunlop control racket for the masses, and there's no middle ground or truly hybrid Dunlop racket, which makes no sense to me. Now I will say that I've heard that the new CX132 has a bit more weight in the head than the Sonic Core Ultimate did, so there's a chance that it's a bit of a hybrid between the Elite and the Ultimate to cover all bases, but I can't comment on this until I've tried it. The next issue I have with the new range as a whole is with how they look and the names they've been given. Of course, they're going down a similar route to the Technofiber system of having similar colours and names of each type of racket, with the Slash and Carboflex ranges. For Dunlop, that's now blue for their FX or Power range and red for their CX or Control range. While this has worked amazingly for Technofiber, I feel that Dunlop's departure from what they have done for years feels like they've lost sight of what made them popular in the first place. As I mentioned before, the unique colours made each racket distinct and memorable, and the names were striking, not just some letters and numbers people would easily forget. I just don't see the point in taking Technofiber on at their own game, especially since Head are also following that formula now too. Dunlop should be trying to stand out, not blend in with the rest. This brings me to the next point. The Dunlop CX range looks incredibly similar to the head control range called the Radical range. They're both traditional head-shaped rackets with a red theme, and to someone who doesn't know any better, they could easily be mistaken for each other. It's beyond me how Dunlop could see that Head already had these rackets for sale for the last year, and then decides to make their brand new range look basically the same. I understand that they're bringing their squash range in line with the tennis, but the fact of the matter is, Dunlop aren't one of the big boys in the tennis world relative to the competition like they are in squash, and it reeks of laziness that they couldn't separate the two sports like they have done historically. It also feels like a lack of respect to their history as the best brand in modern squash, having had 8 men's world number ones in the last 2 decades, more than double the number any other brand has had in those years. I really do hope that they can sort this out for their next range of rackets and return to what they were best at. And yes, they might prove me wrong by selling more rackets than they ever have, although a lot of that could be influenced by more effective marketing. I guess we'll have to see. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the new Dunlop range, and how you think it compares to their previous ranges. See you next time. Bye.